Hey guys, Happy New Year! And with the new year comes the brand new Redmi device, which in this case is the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G. Yep, that's one heck of a name, but again, I don't really care about names. I care about how good the phone in itself is. And of course, as a consumer, that is what you should be concerned about. I mean, if it's not Apple, then what else is there in the name, right? So yeah, let's talk about how this phone is and whether you should be interested in buying this or not. This is one from GTR and you're watching my, it's not an in-depth review, but you are watching my 1 week review of the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus. Because of course, I don't sugarcoat things. I am being honest with you. I have been using this device for a little over a week only. So of course, there are things that I might miss out on. But as a consumer, this video should help you understand whether you should even be excited about this phone in the first place or not. So let's get started. Alright, so first things first, let's just start by talking about the design here. Now, of course, this is a Redmi device, so this has to feel a little bit in the budget segment. If you talk about the materials used, then you do get a glass back. That being said, from the looks of it, it does not really feel amazingly premium or something like that. I mean, if you were to set this next to one of the Redmi Note 11 series devices or even the Redmi Note 10 series devices, they would look much more premium as compared to this one, which is a weird thing because this is priced quite higher. Now, just to clarify, I am not saying this is a bad looking device by any means or it does not look premium per se. It's just that Redmi has set the bar so high for its own self that it's tough for them to just maintain those heights every new year. Now, of course, as we've seen with plenty of Xiaomi or mainly Redmi devices, they have moved to the flat edge philosophy, and of course this device also comes with a flat edge here. Personally, I would say I am not a fan of flat edge designs in general. Like, I do use an iPhone as a primary, but even there I don't like the flat edge designs. I am more of a person who prefers curves because they add a bit more grip to the device. Now, that being said, as far as flat edge devices go, in that context, definitely the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus is nice. Now, in terms of the in-hand feel, this phone weighs at around 200 grams, a little above that. And while using it, initially it does feel a little bit heavy, but because of the ergonomics and the way the weight has been distributed here, your hand will easily adapt to it and it does not feel top heavy or anything like that. One slight complaint that I do have here is the haptics motor. I mean, when we talk about budget devices specifically, Xiaomi was one of the first brands to actually focus on their haptics. So it's just a shame that the haptics engine of the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus, which is supposed to be a flagship killer kind of a thing, like around that 25,000-30,000 price segment, the haptics here are just not that good. I mean, it's average at best. I mean, in day-to-day usage, it's fine, but it's not as refined as you would expect from Xiaomi considering their previous offerings. So if you're someone who likes to type out each keystroke individually, the experience would not be as refreshing or enjoyable as most of their devices have offered in the past. Also, in terms of protection, the device is IP53 rated. Now, of course, the phone comes with support for face unlock and you also get a physical side-mounted fingerprint scanner. Now, whether you are a fan of side-mounted fingerprint scanners or in-display ones, that's your call. Personally, I do like side-mounted ones a little bit more, especially if gestures are involved. While you do not get gestures here, you can at least install third-party apps for it to get that functionality here. And nonetheless, physical scanners are far more reliable as compared to in-display ones. Now, just because this does not come with an in-display scanner does not mean that it's an LCD display. No, it's an AMOLED panel, and in fact, it's one of the best ones out there. Now, the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus comes with a 6.67-inch AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate. It's a panel that comes with support for HDR10+, along with Dolby Vision, which basically means that content consumption on this panel is absolutely amazing. Also, slight addition to the fact of content consumption, you also get stereo speakers here that sound excellent. And if that's not enough for you, you also get a 3.5mm headphone jack here, which definitely outputs audio at excellent quality if you do have a good pair of headphones around you. Coming back to the display, 120Hz refresh rate works very well, colors are quite vibrant, and more importantly, with a high brightness mode of 900 nits, it means that you can easily use this outdoors without having any issues, even under direct sunlight. Alright, so moving along, let's talk about one of the most highlighted features about this device, which is the 200MP camera. Now, of course, we saw a 200MP camera previously on this channel in the form of the Moto S30 Ultra, and if that is anything to go by, the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus should offer a very good camera performance, right? Or is that the case? Let's take a look.
Now, speaking about the camera, one thing I'd like to highlight is that the device also features ALD, which is an atomic layer deposition, which is basically an ultra low reflection coating, which helps to reduce reflections, glares, and optimizes complex lighting scenarios. Now, this definitely shows, especially in low light conditions, where even if you capture light objects, like what I mean is that objects that have their own light, you do not get any lens flare or any sort of reflections. Now, this is something that's very important to highlight because this is an issue that's even noticeable on expensive devices, for instance, even on iPhones as well. Now, moving on to daylight shots, I have to say that I really admire Redmi's processing here. Of course, thanks to the 200MP sensor, you get a lot of details here, especially in HDR shots, where the photos are quite balanced, and even in scenarios where you have a lot of shadows, the images do not lack details there, and there is hardly any noise here. The same thing can be said for ultra-wide images as well. The HDR processing is good and no complaints there, even if you switch from the normal to the ultra-wide sensor. Now, moving on to human shots and portrait shots, I like the fact that Redmi keeps the shots quite natural, where the skin tones are good, but they are also fine-tuning the clarity of the image, which, okay, in some instances does look a little bit over sharpened, but for the most part it definitely looks a lot more structured and better detailed. Moving on to selfies, I would have to say that while the shots are decent enough, there is definite room for improvement. I mean, they're not perfect by any means. I feel that there could be a little bit more sharpness here. Add to that, the HDR is still missing here, especially when you switch to the portrait mode. For some reason, Xiaomi and Redmi devices still do not offer HDR mode when you switch to portrait modes, which is kind of surprising to me, but yeah, that's the way it is. Now, lastly, we have videos, and right off the offset, I need to clarify this thing. Just because the company claims that you have OIS here, don't expect the videos to be super stable. The OIS here is primarily used for photography, for videos. You get 1080p 30 fps with EIS, and while you can record 4K at 30 fps, I mean, the quality is on your screen. It's a decent video output, but I would have to say that don't go about expecting some amazing kind of stabilization from this, because that's not the case here.
Moving on to the performance part, the device comes with a MediaTek Dimensity 1080 processor coupled with UFS 2.2 storage. Now, the benchmarks are on your screen, and as we've already seen, the Dimensity 1080 is an excellent processor. Even in day-to-day usage, the device is absolutely flawless with excellent RAM management and the fact that you do not see any hiccups or lags anywhere. Now, of course, if you're a gamer, you can play at a combo of medium to high settings. And the best part here is that even on extended usage, the device does not really heat up that much, which of course is credited both to MediaTek for optimizing their processor, but also to Xiaomi for including a vapor chamber cooling here. Now, aiding the performance part is the software, and the Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus comes with MIUI 13 out of the box based on Android 12. That personally is a bummer, because you would expect devices launching now at least to come with Android 13 out of the box. The fact that this is still running Android 12 is definitely a shame. And no, I'm not saying give us MIUI 14 because the beta is already launched. That's a different thing. The stable version isn't out for any device. But at least give us MIUI 13 based on Android 13, because that is available for other devices. So why Xiaomi is still launching a phone based on Android 12 just surprises me. Nonetheless, what's nice to see is that the bloatware here is kept to a little bit minimal. It's not to say that it's an entirely clean device. You still do get a couple of pre-installed apps, but all of them are easily uninstallable. Also, speaking of easily uninstallable, of course, Xiaomi is known for scanning their apps whenever you try to install something from the Play Store. That has an easy toggle, unlike some of their competitors. Looking at you, Realme. But yeah, it's nice to see that even if Xiaomi is offering certain features baked into the software, if a user does not want them, it's easy to turn them off. And as far as software stability goes, I personally have had zero complaints with it so far. The software experience has been super stable for me with no bugs whatsoever. Touch wood. One problem that I do have is something that has existed across MIUI, which is that once you install a third-party launcher, you just cannot use gestures with it. Like the option just disappears. I've talked to Xiaomi multiple times about it. I still don't understand why they haven't fixed this thing. I mean, the fact that it just basically locks you to using MIUI as a default launcher is, I mean, that fact just does not sit well with me, because Android is all about customizability and you're basically restricting that customizability part from your user's experience. Lastly, we have the battery life. Now, the phone comes with a 5000 mAh battery with support for 120 watts charging, and of course the charger is provided in the box, which is a nice thing to have. Now, as far as the battery life is concerned, the phone can easily last 1 day of heavy usage, and honestly that is what matters, at least to me. I mean, sure, if you want to push it, this thing can go 1.5 days of medium usage, which is fine. But let's be honest, most of us are anyway going to charge our device at the end of the day. And if you can just completely charge your device from 0 to 100 in just 20 minutes, then sure, use your phone as heavily as you want to, no complaints or no issues. Which brings us to the pricing. Now, at the time of recording this video, we are not aware of the exact pricing. But considering the China pricing, the conversion rate, and the fact that Xiaomi is known for having amazing offers at launch, I am expecting this phone to be available around 25 to 26,000, including bank offers. That is my expectation. And in that context, I would have to say it's a great device. Individually, it's a great device. Now, is it the best device at that price point? Well, for that, we will have to compare it with its direct competitor, which is the Realme 10 Pro Plus. Or if some folks might want, we can even compare it with the a little bit older OnePlus Nord 2T. Or if you want, you can also have its comparisons with the Nothing Phone 1 or the Google Pixel 6a. Now, which of those comparisons you'd like to see, just let us know in the comments down below. But if you really want your comment to be highlighted, then make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. But like I said, we will be doing in-depth comparisons, so make sure that you have the bell icon turned on for that. Till then, this is Ron from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.